This is Inspirational Women, a weekly series shining the spotlight on female trailblazers making a true difference in our community. Once again, here is Kate Daniels.
It's Inspirational Women time, and we get to connect with a local author who is quite an inspiration in the career changes she's made to arrive at this point. Today, Corrine Cavanaugh brings us the third book in her Audacious series, An Audacious Love, so perfect for Valentine's Day. Corrine Cavanaugh, good morning. And It's great to welcome you back really quite soon after we had the second book in the Audacious series. But when the fire is hot or when the iron's hot, you strike something like
yes,
that.
Yes, exactly. I've had these two books that are the follow-up to An Audacious Woman in my mind for a while. So I've been working on it sort of backstage, but the publishing of them has been quite rapid in the reader's view.
Which is great, too, because once you're into a story, having to wait for a sequel is like excruciatingly painful.
I know. I feel the same way. A certain dragon series of books has just come out, and I'm in it. That's for sure. I'm a reader.
Well, that's what we have with the Audacious series, although we know you've said it's 3. It's not going to be more than 3. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. This is it. And I think it's a really nice closure to the trilogy. It all sort of wraps up together in a tidy little bow.
And it is a beautiful book. An Audacious Love. And yes, we're looking at the romantic love. But as I was reading through it, I thought, but there's such a different love. Like food comes into play.
Yes.
I felt, the way that you really go into detail and description of the foods, I thought this is its own kind of love.
It is. Maybe I was just hungry. No, I do think that there's a lot of types of love represented in the book. There's certainly self-love. You know, Eleanor is standing for her values and being her best self throughout the book while loving Oliver. And you see his love for her, which is more traditional, you could say, and reverent. And there's food. And then you've also got the love of architecture and at the estate, that whole wedding scene. So there's a lot of love, a lot of different loves in the book.
And travel is a huge component in this book as well. So there's almost a love of travel.
Oh, yeah.
But of the places, I really appreciated your descriptions. They were so vivid of being in a place, the colors, the scents, the sounds. And I was just really in awe of how you managed that.
Well, I have a deep love of travel, obviously, and I've been having some little kids, so I haven't been able to travel. So you see it come out in this book that, Eleanor, like me, has not been able to travel. And so she finally gets to see all of these wonderful, sometimes exotic places that I have always wanted to go, or that, I have friends who have told me about going on these amazing trips. And I thought, well, if I can't go there myself in person, I might as well go there in the story with Eleanor.
And so, yes, this is your vicarious
I'm
traveling.
Totally living vicarious.
And the thing is, though, the research for it.
Oh, gosh, there was so much research for it. I looked up not only the destinations and the specific restaurants and hotels. I looked up pictures of their lobbies. So I wanted to get the details right for people. It's a fiction novel, so I'm certain there are a couple little things that aren't quite right if you've actually been there. But, it's pretty accurate. And I even looked up flight patterns and world maps and, what way would make sense for them to travel around. So, yeah, it's very well researched. That was a great deal of the time spent writing that novel.
It felt that way. I mean, that really comes through because I read the book to to be entertained and I love the characters, but there's like a part of me stands apart and is kind of analyzing. Look at how this was put together. And what did she do here? How did she get all this detail? So it's really amazing.
Oh, yes. And in some of the places like, Jordan or Petra, Marrakesh, they have travel guides there. So I looked into travel guides and the typical routes that tourists would be taken on or non-tourist items. I really researched it as if I was going to go on these trips and then looked at the photos and thought about what it would look like and feel like to be there.
Wow. That is just so amazing. And, just to kind of step aside here, it's not that writing, that being an author has been this lifelong work of yours. This is a new career. Yeah. And here, your third book, really, right?
Yes.
It's of all the writing you've done. This is the third book.
Yes.
And I'm just in awe that you have arrived at this place with this kind of wonderful and really captivating novel.
Oh, that's so thoughtful for you to say. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've had a career in marketing, and that's short form writing. So it has been my personal challenge in becoming a novelist to be verbose, to really make it expansive and compelling. And I really want people to feel like they're there with Eleanor and Oliver and in the story, and they can feel as they feel. For me, as a reader, that's what I love. The escape of being there with someone else somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, this is where I really see your talent come through is, well, you were saying, okay, you've had the marketing writing, so you have a skill. And then you can be verbose, but sometimes that can be, I don't know. It can be, but not here. I mean, there was the description that felt real, authentic, and yet with the descriptions really built the picture, really had that scene present, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the whole feeling.
Thank you. Thank you. I worked hard at that.
So you worked hard, and did you feel you were accomplishing that? Have you felt good about it?
I did, in that I would read it back to myself and try to see every detail. I'm very imaginative. Even as a child, my imagination sort of went wild, and I was telling stories to myself. I'm an only child, so I had no one to play with. And I would just be in my mind, right? And so when I do readbacks and adding content to my chapters, I try to think, can I picture myself there? What am I seeing? What does it look like? What does it smell like? I really try to think about all five senses, because if you don't, people just say, and the story isn't about the place. I wanted the story to be about the place as much as the people, because those two things are interacting with each other throughout the whole trip.
Right. And what a trip, what an adventure. It's so great to come to this third book. And we've already, of course, had a great experience of Eleanor through the first two books, and with Oliver as well. I mean, he's definitely been present, but to really have this focus on them. And that brings us to another really wonderful theme and approach here, is to have this mature couple, this mature love, and to deal with that, because we don't necessarily have a lot of that in literature.
We don't.
Right?
Yeah. And especially romance novels. Often it's falling in love. And when we meet Oliver and Eleanor, they're later in life, and they fell in love a long time ago. So what does that look like for a comfortable couple who's actually experiencing a big, big, big life change? And how do they deal with that? And I think those questions are more interesting than the, passionate, I'm falling in love, new love feeling. It's how do you make it last through adversity? What does that really look like to a mature couple who's done it a couple of times? I mean, they've been through a couple of things. And like you said, you met Eleanor in an audacious woman, and she's the main character, but she's this sassy, flirtatious spitfire. you kind of get her from the point of view of the characters that are competing for her Gilded Age mansion.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of seeing that outside part of her. But in An Audacious Love, you see and hear her inner thoughts. And something I did that's very different in this book is each chapter was from the point of view of either Eleanor or Oliver.
Right, yes.
And so you really get their inner dialogue and monologue around, how do I feel about him? How does he feel about me? All these assumptions made, this typical stuff that you have in real relationships, making assumptions about what the other person's thinking, and especially if they're wrong, how that goes. So it was a different lens on these two characters for sure.
And how did that feel for you to be in each person and bringing their thoughts forward?
It was hard because I had to decide when I went to write the chapter whose point of view I wanted it from. And so there were some instances where I switched it back. Originally I wanted it to be every other chapter so you felt a balance, but it wasn't appropriate sometimes.
Yeah.
So then I had to switch it back. From a writing perspective, it was difficult, but I wanted Oliver to be represented. Even though all of the books are intended for primarily women readers, so much of a love, a relationship, is both people. And, there are some characteristics that Eleanor has that would be very hard to live with.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of wanted to demonstrate, yes, you can be this audacious woman, but there are some times you have to listen and properly communicate with your partner. So, Oliver, sweet Oliver, shines a light on those types of things.
Oh, see, again, that being able to get into their personalities, into who they are as an individual, again, is an incredible talent to be able to get that and for it to feel authentic, to feel genuine, not like, contrived would be the other side of it. Yeah. And it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think I've been living with these people in my head for a long time. So for me, they're two very different people. And so I was just, I just tried to show them who I believe them to be in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, they certainly come across as wonderful. And as we were just saying, to have this mature love, a mature relationship portrayed, and it doesn't get into boring. Neither is it just always smooth sailing. It's still, we're talking people, their personalities. We're still individuals.
Yeah. And some of the stuff they go through, everybody in every stage of a relationship can relate to. I mean, the heart of everything are communication issues that happen. And, my husband and I, it still catches us up sometimes in these little communication issues, and they're a big deal. And so it's still fascinating, I think. And that's one thing that maybe people don't recognize. And I say this, I'm turning 40 this year, but I say this knowing I have a lot of older couple friends, and it's always kind of exciting. There's always things going on. It doesn't, we don't sort of sunset the way we used to. I mean, people are living to 100 vibrantly. So I kind of wanted to just put that out there. Like, yes, Eleanor and Oliver have taken care of themselves and they're able to have some mobility, but their minds are sharp and they can have a great, passionate, dialogue-filled, energetic relationship, even in a more mature age.
Right. Yes. And I think you bring that to it, showing that, yes, we change, but you still have this vibrant life, just done at a different pace, and respecting that, accepting as well, rather than fighting it and having anger about it. It's like, okay, this is a progression.
Yeah. And just looking out for each other, I think, is a part of their love. I think there's one scene, maybe it's in Jordan, where, they're coming off a flight. They're both exhausted. And, instead of going right to bed, Eleanor drags them to this appointment to the spa she made, simply because she knows their bodies both need attention, so from a massage therapist, so that they do that. And afterwards, he thanks her. He says, you knew me better than I knew myself in that moment. I'm so grateful for you. And I think that's what's so lovely about their love, their relationship, is that they're using their history to get to know each other better and grow over time and continue to be each other's advocates and look out for each other along the way.
Yes, a wonderful partnership, a different kind of partnership
It is.
than our earlier book number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I love about these are different views of the same people. Like book number 1, An Audacious Love, as Eleanor hosting this contest, you get a surface level of her and her feisty, lovable attitude. You kind of love to hate her a little bit. And then book number 2, the winners, An Audacious Partnership, you get these business women who are creating and being entrepreneurs and being inspiring in that way. And you get to know who they are and how their friendship grows and how their business partnership grows. And then the third book is a double click on Eleanor and Oliver. Well, what is it really like to be them once they finally get to leave the estate?
And they have freedom.
And they have freedom, which Eleanor has wanted forever. And I asked myself the question before sitting down to really write my outline for this book, which is my first step in the process. I said, if I had health and all of the financial resources and time in the world, what would I do? Right? And that's what Eleanor does. She goes, she travels, she sees the world. She's relentless about her pursuit of learning about other cultures and countries.
Yes. Again, which is so vividly portrayed in this Audacious Love. So here we are. Of course, Eleanor has unlimited resources. That's her life station. Oliver, of course, comes from
modest.
Yes.
Yes.
Because he was working there. But it's a beautiful love that has evolved and is wonderful. But there's still this kind of difference that has to be balanced out. So she doesn't have to think in terms of retirement per se, where he does. And I think that you bring to us, Corrine, a way to look at retirement and how to think about it, how to plan for it. What will it look like? That, I think in the past it was you reached a certain age, you got your retirement pay. This is different. You're creating it.
Yeah. And I think that people should feel like they can create their own path. This is just something kind of innate about me that I'm maybe something I'm trying to move forward in the world. Forget tradition. You make your own path these days. We live in a world where you can truly do that. And you're right about the tension between Eleanor and Oliver. I mean, he came from a very modest, small town in France. And he was the help. He was the hired help, a chef in her mansion. And that's how they met. So, she's had all of the financial resources her whole entire life. She doesn't even think about things. But they've got something there to work out, especially in this next chapter of retirement. He has one idea and she has another. And so you get to see them figure it out together in a loving way.
Yes. And that's the thing. I mean, if we're going to really be dynamic people, we're not going to have someone who's essentially a clone of us. And to see that as something that really makes us greater, to be able to work through that. I was going to say wrestle, but it's not a violent kind of thing. It's just kind of working through it. Just conversation, communicating is a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting with Oliver and Eleanor because it's kind of a dynamic switch than we normally see. She's the wealthy one, and he is not. And so that role reversal I thought was really interesting considering their age and the traditional upbringing that they probably had. And so they're both having to give, right? Eleanor's having to give maybe some of her entitlement, maybe some of her ego. And Oliver is definitely having to give some ego over to Eleanor for her to be in the driver's seat for most of their life. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic, a role reversal, you could say.
Yeah. Yes, which is fun, if you will.
It's fun to see it play out, that's for sure.
Yes, absolutely, because why not? I mean, if we look at the world and those in the CEO suites or the XO suites, whatever they're called, there are a lot of women who are there. And,
Absolutely.
in our own community, we know some of those names of women who have done that. So that certainly can and does exist.
It does exist, and I think we're going to see it happening more and more as things continue to even out and organizations continue to realize the value that women bring to the boardroom and the C-suite. I mean, the statistics are all out there, but it's just a matter of looking in the right places to fill your pipeline and actually moving on that and being advocates of women in leadership. So I think we're going to continue to see that more and more, the relationship dynamic switched. Yes, so I think people should think about this idea and think about how retirement could be a lot different than they originally thought.
Yes, I think that is such a key thing because it is changing, as we speak, it is changing, and it's important to, I think, address that to continue to live a fulfilled life. Because if there isn't the planning, there is the danger of it just falling flat and people end up miserable.
Oh, totally. And you hear about that and you see that in different family and different things where people sort of get in their rut, right? And then, before they know it, they're not doing all the things they always wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So you really have to plan for it and also insist on it. That's one of the things I love about Eleanor as a character. She's insisting on it. She's assuming it. I mean, she's boldly going and asking forgiveness later. Maybe that's a little much for real life, right? She's a fun character. But you still do have to plan it.
Yes, that's at least planting the seed that you need to think of how does that fit into your own life.
Yeah, and Oliver's the same way. I mean, he needs to tell Eleanor, oh, I want purpose. I want this. I want that. And they need to hash it out, I think, way before they actually do.
But they get there. And what this does is give us the inspiration. It gives us a story to start integrating it and thinking of it for ourselves and having those conversations.
Absolutely. I think most of the themes that come up in this are very relatable, right? And applicable. That's one of my favorite things as a reader. When I'm reading something, I can reflect on my life and go, oh, okay, well, there's something to learn there or something to apply there. It's fiction, but there's still things to learn from the characters.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We find ways to relate, and if we don't like it, it's like, well, how would I do it differently? Yes, that's why reading is so wonderful, because it really is a way for us to work through things and think about a different way and all of that good stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And fiction especially is so non-confrontational, right? You're just watching other people. And, it's a safe way to reflect without confrontation and with delight, honestly. I think those are the books I like to read, right? I think this series is delightful. It brings joy. It's a fun, good time read.
All of the above. Yes. But it is the third of 3. So that means, okay, no more of these books in the Audacious series.
I know.
But being who you are, this is not the end.
No.
What are your next plans?
No, I want to encourage people to live audaciously, if I'm going to continue that theme for a while, I think, in a lot of what I do. So my plans are, putting out a different education series. I'm working on a TED Talk style talk to give to, different stages. And I think that I really want people to think about maybe the adversity they've experienced in their life and how they can use it to their advantage. And then I also want people to really think about motherhood as a superpower for leadership. So those are 2 topics I'm really pressing on. So you'll probably see something in print here and there, but also in a formal, keynote or TED Talk style talk from me soon.
Great. And of course, the way to find out about that and of course, all of the book series and what's going on, how do we do that?
Just head to audaciousbook.com and you'll find everything you need to know about my next chapter and links to the books. They're all available on Amazon.
Great. And that's the way to connect with you as well.
Yes. Please connect with me there or on Instagram if you like that sort of thing. It's Corrine Cavanaugh, Cavanaugh. So CorinneCava. That's my handle on Instagram. I'd love to see you there.
And we'll have that on our website. So if someone hasn't quite caught that, just look at the website for the podcast and the guest info that's collected there. So definitely exciting times ahead.
Very exciting. I've been working on these books for a while, so now I feel liberated myself. They're out the door. They're being published. Another thing I'm working on is I'm really trying to get this made into a TV series.
Oh, I did notice something. Yes.
I know. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
That is so amazing, the way that you are approaching this. You're doing kind of the Eleanor-esque life, just continuing to plan and seeing where this moves next. And I can see that this would make great sense and really be appealing as a TV series. You might find, though, they'd say, well, we need a series that spins off to follow this character, or what happens. Who knows?
You never know. Yeah, right? I'm just hoping for a pilot. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
One step at a time.
Exactly.
So I'm working on the screenplay right now, and I hope that a producer comes on board to do a pilot with me.
Wow. Congratulations. The way that you talk about that, which is in a just very natural way, but it feels audacious. Does it feel that way to you?
Oh, yeah. I'm not in corporate anymore. Everything I do feels a little audacious.
Yeah.
But, I'm pressing on it. I really want people to see characters and stories that make them just want to go for it in life. And that's my heart. And I hope that people see that and pick up these stories. And I hope it resonates with people.
And what about with your children? I know that they're still, youngish.
Yes.
Do they get this author piece of you?
I had one of my books on the kitchen counter, and my 3-year-old picked it up. And she was looking at it, and then she looked at the back, and my photo is on the back. And she said, "Oh, that's you." And I had to explain to her, "Oh, I wrote this book." "Oh, that's what I do for work. I'm a writer." "Oh, okay." So now when we do her bedtime stories, she always goes to the back. She flips over her little stories. She goes, "Is that the writer, Mommy?" And I say, "Yes, that's a writer." And there's normally an illustrator because they're children's stories.
Yes.
So she always checks, which is adorable.
That is adorable. And what it does is it opens up her world, like this possibility.
Exactly.
It may be, but what it does is it just is many possibilities. This is one of them. So
absolutely. I hope that women see that there are more paths than the traditional path. And that really, in this day and age, we can do whatever we set our mind to.
And also to see that there are forks in the road.
Absolutely.
And venture down them like you've done.
Oh, yeah. One of the things I struggled with when I was at college age was, oh my gosh, there was so much pressure around what to do for your career. And I realized maybe a decade later, you can do whatever you want. You can do something for 5 years and then do something else. And it's the same in retirement age, too. If you want to travel the world, maybe you do that for 2 years or 1 year or 6 months, and then you do something else. You have the power to choose your own path, and it doesn't have to be traditional.
That's right. And the thing about it is that when you go down that path, then other doors or windows open, and you
Absolutely.
say, oh, now there's something that's interesting or not. But that's the kind of thing. Having it, life is just an adventure.
It should be.
Yes.
Certainly.
And you're making it so, I feel.
Oh,
right?
Great. I think so, too.
Well, you are, yes, just a prime adventuress, Corrine Cavanaugh. And I have so appreciated these last 3 conversations we've had about these books, and look forward to whatever comes down the road. As you keep creating things, I imagine we're definitely going to have at least another conversation or 2 or so.
I would love that, Kate. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. It's been great fun. This wraps up the hour of important stories about relationships and well-being. Please check our station's website for the podcasts for more information about these guests, and please share the stories with your friends. I'm Kate Daniels, and if you'd like to connect with me, please email me, katedaniels@hubbardradio.com. And thanks for sharing this hour this morning.
Thank you for listening to Inspirational Women. Tune in every Sunday morning at this time to hear about those truly empowering the Northwest community, all for the greater good. Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women are a public service of Hubbard Radio Seattle.